Okay, now we're doing the self-check for 9.2. This is to just work on parallelograms and the area and perimeter of different things. Now, parallelogram is a figure, a four-sided figure that both this side and this side will be congruent, as well as the opposite sides. They have to both be congruent, and then they're also parallel. So EEH is parallel to FG. You state that by an arrow, and this other side is also parallel. So opposite sides are parallel for a parallelogram, makes sense, and opposite sides are also congruent. For a rhombus, they're all congruent, but just for a parallelogram, that's how that works. So first of all, we'll just calculate this. So if we're trying to get a perimeter and we're given the diagonals, we're not given the sides. Now the perimeter is on the outside of this parallelogram. So you cannot calculate the perimeter of a parallelogram when you are only given the diagonals. You can only figure out the area. So there is not enough information for question 1 because it asks for perimeter. If it asks for area, we could solve it. We'll have problems later on that have that. But if you're only given the diagonals, there's not enough information to get the perimeter. All right, the formula for calculating a parallelogram is base times the height. Okay, the base is this whole part right here. This is the base. And the height is where it makes a 90-degree angle with the base. So it comes from the top. And so whenever you see this dotted line like this and this right angle right here, that gives you the height. So B is the height, C is the base for this. So let's just label this. If A is 7.1, B is 5.8, and C is 11.1, the base is 11.1 times by the height, which is 5.8, and that is how you calculate the area of a parallelogram. So it's 11.1 times 5.8, and that gives you an answer of 64.38, which is right there. So that's a handy formula to have, at least for this section. So for this particular problem, again, we're calculating the area. So if it says A is 4.1, B is 3, and C 8.2, A is extra information that you don't need because I just need the base and the height. So base is 8.2, multiply that by 3, and that gives you your answer. 8.2 times 3 gives you the area of 24.6 right here. Okay, calculate the area. Remember we said we could not calculate the perimeter, but you can an area. And if you have the diagonal. So this diagonal right here is 6. This diagonal right here is 5.1. So this is the formula for it. You multiply diagonals and you divide that by 2. So if I put parentheses around, it might be easier to see. So 6 times 5.1 divided by 2. I've just punched in my calculator and I get 15.3. So that's the answer right there, 15.3 square units. So you multiply the diagonals, divide by 2. Okay, perimeter. Can we calculate the perimeter when we're given the diagonals? No. So there's not enough information right here. Okay, you cannot calculate perimeter. If it was area, we could do it. You can't do the perimeter when you're only given the diagonals. Calculate the perimeter for this one. Now let's look at it. B is 20. A is 22.1. And C down here is 26.8. Now, if it's a parallelogram, we know that this is 26.8 because it told us, but we also know this one is. Okay? And if this side is 22.1, we know that this side is also 22.1. So you can calculate the perimeter because we know the definition of a parallelogram states that this side is the same as this, and this side is the same as that. So just add all those together, or 2 times 22.1 plus 2 times 26.8. Whatever you decide to do is fine, because it will give you the same answer. So I got 97.8 when I added those together. And there it is right there. Okay, moving on to the next one. Calculate the perimeter for a parallelogram. B is 2.6, C is 9.7, and A is 3.4. I don't need the height for the perimeter. I just need the sides. So this side is also 3.4, this side is 9.7, and then we're just adding all sides together, or say 2 times 3.4 plus 2 times 9.7, whatever works for you. And that equals for me 26.2 right here. I somehow clicked on a different color, but no big deal. I'm going to change color. Okay, we'll erase that, move to the next problem. Okay, parallelogram EFGH is a rhombus. That means all sides are the same. Okay, or at least the same distance. Doesn't mean the angles are the same, but just each side is the same length or distance or whatever you call it. So you calculate the area if this diagonal is 6.4 and this diagonal is 3.4. So you multiply diagonals and divide by 2 to calculate the area of any parallelogram or a rhombus. 6.4 times 3.4 divided by 2 is equal to 10.88. So just plug that in. And that was because it asked for the area. If it said calculate the perimeter, we couldn't for this problem. Okay, if parallelogram is a rhombus, calculate the area of a rhombus with those, with the numbers that it was given us. So you again multiply E, because these are the diagonals, you multiply diagonals. Forgot to put the 1 in front, times 10.6, and then divide by 2. So just calculate that out, put that answer here. Okay, this is a rhombus. Again, we want to calculate the area, so you multiply those diagonals together, divide by 2. This is the same thing. Multiply these diagonals together, divide by 2. Here's another one that's similar. Multiply the diagonals, divide by 2. Again, multiply diagonals, divide by 2. And the last one is the same thing. Multiply diagonals, divide by 2. Whoops, that wasn't the last, but this one's similar to the others. So there's a lot of problems on that. Just if you'll remember, if it asks you calculate the area, you multiply the diagonals, divide by 2. In a rhombus, if it says, here's the length of diagonals, find out the perimeter, there's not enough information because it doesn't give you the length of the sides. You can only calculate area of a rhombus if you're given the diagonals. You cannot calculate the perimeter. So that's the end. That's it for this.